Hello and welcome to the next part of explaining Python. So I thought about it a little more as I was doing some things, and I think I'm going to just harvest and I want to kind of explain from memory before I go and actually sit down with the playground. So you can just kind of have this in your mind. So you can watch this, 30-minute video and just have this to be thinking about while you get ready to go look at the playground or the tutorial. And again, that's what they call the tutorials on codinggame.com. You can go to codinggame.com and you have to make an account, I think, to view the playground or the tutorial. But um, although I say that, but I think maybe not. So it's a good idea to make an account anyway. You're going to want to make an account on Code Wars and Coding Game. It's really not that big of a deal. It just takes your email address, and then you need to create a password. And um, actually, I should see if it's like, well, anyways, should see if it's multi-factor authentication, and if so, should turn that on. I'm not super worried about it, although, yeah, because all the information on there is actually like still publicly available information, like on my YouTube, on my LinkedIn, all stuff like that, which is an acceptable level of risk. It's not my favorite, but I mean, you know, trying to, and that's part of the incentive to try to do a lot of the other projects is like, let's just fix the world up to the point where we don't need to worry about it, because nobody likes to go steal from people. Like nobody likes to scam from people. I mean, unless they're like focusing on like the feeling of reward, knowing that their family's going to eat, or like they're going to have an easier time for that next week or two, or or like something. But then it's still going to be, it's not. I don't know. And then it's also the perceived needs when you get into like big business, and that's like one of my my not concerns, but my criticisms. There you go. My criticisms of capitalism is it needs to have caps. Like on any industry of health, education, and law, it needs to be non-taxed and non profit. So basically, tax exempt and profit exempt, basically. Because that is stuff that we all need, and it is an expense that, and we do have like an insurance companies. Oh, and here's the other thing, insurance companies. In fact, let me write that down. I'm going to write this in my phone because this needs to be a Jamboard. One of my solutions or problem-solving solutions is to insurance. Create sliding scale of refund when member is deceased or transfers. There you go. So when you want to, so we should make it to where you can do this regularly, just like refinancing your loans. We should make it, if it doesn't exist already, but your insurance, like, and I know that some insurances they boast, and they do, they'll readjust your rate. Like your rate will go down the longer you're with the company. So that is one form of a decaying profit model. And so another form to look at would be, especially if someone dies and they don't use the insurance, and then you need to take like a percentage of all the money they paid in and refund that back to the family, because honestly that's where a lot of, and it's sad because it's the Gilmore Girls. It's the concept behind Gilmore Girls. Like, and I know that because I had it, well, actually my co-parent, sorry, we won't go, there's the pumpkin. And again, because I never fixed it, and I keep kicking the can down the road, so every time I see it. But anyways, the dad in the Gilmore Girls, and why they're so wealthy and like, rich and ha-ha and fancy, is because he works in insurance. And then if you watch Incredibles, the dad, he works in insurance too, and he's trying to be the hero, helping this little old lady find the tax loophole to exploit, like all these other people exploit. Like, and you think about all the tax loopholes that big business and like rich people exploit. It's ridiculous. Hmm. But anyways, the reason I point all that out is because there are ways that we could be doing things better. I mean, we need to remove money markets. We need to stop charging so much interest for loans. Sorry, and that just needs to be a thing. I mean, we should have more trust in lending, um, less less expense overall. And see, that's the thing. Is like we could wait on that for a little while. Let's keep things how they are now. Like I said, let's pay back the student loans for now, but then let's change it so the model is fixed for going forward, where the Pell Grant actually helps with like 70% of a higher education. And let's make the cost of higher education, I don't know, 70% less. Like, and trim the fat anywhere we possibly can. Do remote learning, like have universities make online classes available so you don't even need to leave your hometown. Like, that would be a neat thing. Like, ooh, just a la carte, take classes from different universities. That would be even neater. Like, if you could patchwork your degree with different universities, and the universities could sell you class by class basis. Oh, and then, yeah, and see, and if it was even cheaper like that, because then you don't have to pay for the overhead of a classroom, and like everybody's opportunity cost of their time, of their day. Although, granted, you do miss something from going to campus. Like, that is part of the higher education experience that I did enjoy. And, like, or it definitely, I'll remember that as like part of it. But at the same time, say you need to work a couple extra jobs or something for a while and you need like an easy way to do school. I think, one of the silver linings of the pandemic is remote work and remote education being more commonplace. Oh, it's just awesome. You love to see it. I mean, especially with tech becoming more available. And that's why we need to focus on increasing network connectivity, increasing network access, increasing the quality of the network, and then increasing the quality of the endpoints on the network, increasing the security of all of it, throughout all of it. And yeah, and then decreasing the need for the security, even though you keep the security, by trying to disarm people worldwide and by creating all of this worldwide. Because you provide this education, if you provide it translated, like all the stuff that I do, I hope that people take it and translate it into other languages. Like, please do make a playground on Coding Game and make a profile on Code Wars and make some YouTube videos. And, just like this, you could play video games, juega los videojuegos, I'm sorry, that's horrible Spanish, but, and yeah, in fact, I've talked to a couple people about trying to have them do this. We'll see. To be continued. Anyways, and if not, actually, sorry, we're 7 minutes in. I didn't set an alarm again. I'm horrible at this. So, but yeah, yeah, insurance transfers. Oh my gosh, 7:14. We need about 23. So it's 23. So it's 37. 7:37. Yeah, 23 minutes. All right, and actually, let's do that to 36. Okay. Anyways, I mean, I don't know. I forgot where we were going with that, but all it is at the end of the day is problem solving with people. And the more we realize these things, the better everything is. The less friction everything has. So that's one of my favorite new sayings. And again, Ali K. Miller, an influencer on LinkedIn and Twitter. Although I try, some of my Twitter is like a flaming dumpster of like political nonsense, but like her stuff is all like machine learning. And she does have some opinions here and there, like, but she also like advocates for women in STEM, and it's just really awesome. And she did this post about reducing friction. Like, if you're trying to accomplish something in the workplace, try to do it in a way. Oh, see, there the color's changing. But anyways, try to do it in a way that you would feel better if someone was asking that of you. Like, and that's really what marketing focuses on anyway in business. That's why a lot of people go to school for business and stuff like that. It's like, how do you reduce the friction, or how do you increase the chances of doing business or getting that sale? And that includes, like, without expending too much of your own. See, and what looks cheesy, like, giving them a cheese platter plate or something, or like a gift basket every Christmas or something. Be like, hey, I appreciate your business, or whatever the case may be. I mean, it all has to be factored in and expensed. So, see, and actually, I feel a little nervous continuing to harvest. Well, maybe if we had like one more section, yeah, this might do. Whoops. And then we'll go, get some emeralds, get some extra roller coaster pieces. But yeah, and actually, haven't even talked about the playground. So now that we have an alarm set, the playground is broken up into comments, variables, loops, control flow, debugging, sample algorithms, and I want to say there's even a couple more. There's 11 sections, and so we talked about those already last episode. And that's basically, variables are where you store a value, and usually it's like a word or a sentence or like a paragraph or a book. That's all a string. And then if it's a number, if it's like a whole number, it'd be an integer. If it's a partial number where it has a decimal part, and they're all represented in decimal, you can change it to where it uh, outputs to be like a number, then a slash, then a number to have like a fraction. But the actual computer computes it in decimals. So that's the easiest way to print it out to the screen and the predetermined. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's it's time to go. Let's go. Well, I guess pick up all these. So, anyways, and then a loop is when you want to do something a multiple amount of times. Like even if you just did a simple loop of "Hello World," you'd be printing out the phrase "Hello World" 10 times, let's say, and then so you'd have a counter that keeps track of how many times you've done it, and then it would just print out "Hello World" 10 times. And if you made it print line, so that's the big thing in Java. I remember is like when we were printing things. Oh, sorry. No, actually, never. We won't go into Java. Sorry. We will do a separate series for Java. Um, oh no, no. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, so in Python, yeah, it's just print, and then there are ways to strip white space at the end, and you do need to be aware of that when you're formatting text, reading it in from a file or some kind of stream somewhere else. Uh, Python likes to add new lines at the end, and what that means is it signifies like, hey, we need to start a new line. So when you're printing it out, you would see it on the screen as a new line. The computer still sees it as just a character, which is like either a carriage return or a character return. Basically, I think of the two main ways that can be symboled. And that refers to a carriage return is talking about back when we used to have typewriters and you had to return the carriage or the holder of the thing typing over, like the thing typing onto the paper, because it could only go so far. Then you had it's like ding, and then you slide it back over, and then and then it rolls it up. So then you're starting on the next line. So when you think about it, like if you're looking at a book, like how you'd print that, or with a typewriter, you just like have to do it line by line. The book would have to go left, right, so many times as it rolled up to make, So yeah. Anyways, it's kind of hard to describe all that and like talking about code and everything. No, very scatterbrained, but all of this does help. It's like, for like a season or two of like junk TV that you could watch, it's slightly less entertaining, yeah, I'll admit. But I mean, at the same time, you're learning stuff that's like, it took me 5 years to learn the basics, and then, but then again, yeah, like I said, the boot camps, and they do have a coding one for like web development. And I did take a web design, web development class. Anyways, the Python. Um, So we talked about Route 13. Another good one is the Sudoku validator, and we've talked about that one too. Uh, it's a blue one on Code Wars, and that is where you use a bunch of loops, a bunch of control flow, which is the if-else statement logic. Um, and yeah, so like if all of the 9 numbers are in every row, and if all 9 numbers are in every column, then that passes those 2 tests, but it doesn't necessarily pass the test where are all 9 numbers in each subarray. So yeah, never mind. We've actually already gone well over the Sudoku and huh. So now I just need to get to it and record the. Yeah, I know I say they're only like half-hour things, but going and doing it on the computer and then talking in there, like it's just so much easier just playing video games. I mean, yeah, we could just talk about all. I mean, we do talk about all sorts of random stuff. Like I was talking about, like zero or low interest loans. That should be for citizenship. Oh, let's talk about citizenship actually. So, because I like to have material. Or I'm trying to have material for every sequence or every part of one's journey through higher education in America. And part of that is citizenship, which up until recently I thought was just you take a test, you pay a fee, la-di-da, you're a citizen, which is totally not the case. I'm not trying to laugh at that. It's really ridiculous because that's what the website says. If you go to where, one would assume that if you search how to become a U.S. citizen, it takes you to the site. It shows you the U.S. citizenship practice test. It tells you how to take the test, where to take the test, what to study. Gives you a list of all 128 questions. Tells you the process filing fee. It says this fee is waived if you serve in the military for the U.S. And then that's it. And then there's probably some fine print somewhere that I didn't read, or well, I just think it's fine print because I don't tend to read things as much as I should. I get it, but anyways. Um, but yeah, imagine someone that doesn't speak English as their first language. They're just trying to scam through it or scan through it and just see what's going on. And it's just ridiculous. And I saw on the Twitter just the other day, this guy was saying that he was got his residency after 30 years. And I want to say it still even wasn't like a full-fledged citizen. It was like just his residency. And like up until that, he was. And then someone even commented like, "Oh, he's an illegal." And it's like, "Oh, really?" I mean, I don't know. Even if he was breaking the law, like, ooh, I mean, if he's legal now, what's it really matter? I mean, pays a fine. Maybe he can pay into the programs if he did get any help, but you need a social security for any financial assistance or for any SNAP programs. And I know even to the food bank, like you need a social security number to use that stuff. So I don't know. Like, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where like people are afraid of a situation where they don't fully understand. Yet then we have all these people here illegally, quote unquote, but they're like driving our economy and like doing all of the jobs that we don't want to do. And and that's even just that needs to change. I really think that all kids should be doing hand in hand the same jobs because and that's why I put my job history up on my career advice Jamboard, is because it's important to see all of the different jobs that I've done just because that's like your typical like average person. I consider myself pretty average. I mean, even though I was up in a mountain town, we didn't need a lot of money up there because we didn't have a lot to do. So there was kind of like a trade-off that way. Like with all the extra convenience, especially delivery. Like we didn't have food delivery in Buena Vista. That was like unheard of. You had to you had to drive, and it was only like a 2 mile wide town, so it wasn't like But even then, like if you're blackout drunk and you're driving like to go get food, like first of all dangerous. Second of all, everybody can see you and knows you, and like you're going slow enough anyway to where it's like even if you just like look funny, like you're looking around all sloppy. I don't know. I digress. It's ridiculous to me, but in fact, I don't even know where we were going with that. Huh. But yeah, low interest loans. Like it doesn't have to be like that. And honestly, I think we could have a lot less people working for banks and just have more of a community kind of like thing. Like I almost feel like that's what credit unions are intended to be, but I don't fully understand credit unions, I'll admit. So, um, let's see. That's fine, and I shouldn't have to. That's my point with a lot of things is like, especially politics. Like even though I've been to college and everything, and I've taken political classes, like I don't really have the time to understand what a lot of the stuff is that's going on. So it's like, it needs to be understandable to a 5-year-old so that someone that's only learning about it in passing and only has enough time to dedicate that much understanding to it can weigh in, like can have an honest opinion. So that's the other important thing too. And that's why I think we need to replace like all campaign funding. You can no longer use money in campaigning. You can only do Zoom town halls, and you have to schedule time slots for every section to be available for every one of your voters. And there would be limits, and I've seen several presentations and where like you can take a question and answer where the people can moderate the questions coming in, and then be at the same time all of the questions are getting addressed, and you can even have like a real life like a lifetime. That's part of what I did for a Discord bot is you could make a robot that like basically moderates and it would like blur out any offensive words before. Like you could have like a buffering station or a staging station to where you could see the question and then I don't know. Like I feel like because then if you'd have a way to see people say, "Wait, my question wasn't answered. Here's my question." At least there's ways to check that pretty quick to make sure that we're only censoring inappropriate questions and comments, which as it should be. I mean, and that's why it's awesome that communication and really like the understanding of how communication works, because a lot of people didn't grow up with tech, myself included. I'm in the dial-up age, and my kiddos like all they know are smartphones and like computers and PlayStations and all this. So it's like, they've already understood computer logic from before they could walk, basically. So, anyways, whereas, yeah. And so you got to take it easy on like people that are even, older than my age. And I'm still like, 35, right in the middle, I'd say. And not right in the middle. Like people are living about 100 on it. I don't know. Average is like whatever it is, but like there's your frame of reference. So anything older than that, or anyone older than that, you need to be that much more patient with them because they've had that much less time and that you have, especially if you're comparing it to you. It's like, oh, well, you know. Anyways, yeah, that's why IT is so awesome because it's never ending. It's like a video game that never ends. And cybersecurity is like a specific video game that still involves a lot of IT concepts, and you do need to know how to code. And I did notice that you can do Bash on coding game. I'd like to, and I think even Code Wars I saw it because when we clicked security, just to see, it said Bash and PowerShell, which is true. You need to be able to write scripts, which are I think you could still do objects and scripts, honestly. Like they'd be like structs or structures. I think you're in like the C languages. But anyways, they're more just quick, like, hey, take all of these files or look for this pattern match, or if you're doing security, like look for any connections that you don't trust, or or look for any suspicious activity, and then shut down the connection, report it, log it, stuff like that. And then parsing logs too. Like you need to scan through like hundreds of thousands of lines of logs just to see if like someone's trying to break into your system. And then once you can see a concise understanding of like all of those hundreds of thousands of lines, or even just like hundreds of thousands of log files, if you're trying to like backtrack and check things, because that's what other people need to understand. And like people committing crimes on the internet and using like even especially the dark web. I will say this, like this is my assistance to people committing cyber crimes. That I am helping people hunt people that are doing that. Anyways, yeah, don't do the dark web because they're watching people trying to figure out how to do it. They're watching people going to it, and they're watching people on it. Now, I don't know for sure how well law enforcement and the governments, and governments plural all around the world, can monitor that stuff, but I know that most people can be monitored. I mean, anyways, it's very hard to hide and conceal that properly to where you're not going to be 100% like confident that you're not being observed. So, and at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Like, I mean, is whatever you're doing, and see, that's the thing, is like, if you're doing sketchy things like illegal, like illicit, sexual nonsense, yeah, good. Like, you need to get caught. So, and that's my like 2 cents on that. That's what my professor ends up doing a lot for the government. It's like hunting people doing illicit things like that. Now, granted, a lot of other things. I've been a big advocate for legal cannabis nationwide, and I'm in Colorado where we've enjoyed legal cannabis just as like a sigh of relief legally for people coming here. Although you got to be careful because the saying is come on vacation, stay on probation, because there is a chance you'll get in trouble if you're stupid or if you're being risky or dangerous, like trying to drive while smoking, like, and that's the bad thing is like we don't really have smoking lounges. Like we have bars, and so, and even smoking at bars is, illegal. So it's like, what do you do? Like how do you circumvent that? And the answer is we don't know. We have party buses that are kind of a solution, but kind of not, because even then, I think technically you're not supposed to smoke in party buses. But I don't know. That's why we need to like help fast track all these laws and even just legalize it nationally, and then just like the reduced friction of alcohol problems, including violence, fights, drunk driving, like death, mortalities, like all of these things. I mean, like that we have all these statistics of all these people, and I know people in high school. My friend, I spoke at his funeral. First person I ever found had die in my life, like that I was close to, was a drunk driving accident, and he almost killed the guy that was our one of our regular alcohol buyers. Basically, almost died in the thing too, and then had to sue the dead kid's family for hospital bill values. And so that's what I'm saying is like we need to make nonprofit everything, especially education, make hospital bills like non-existent, make those nonprofit, and all it's all connected, all related. And that's why you would need to take all the classes I did to even have this like small understanding of these concepts, like and how they intertwine together. Because I've had business classes, a business minor, and all that, and it's like, all right, so now I understand, this connected to this. So just like micro and macroeconomics. So macro is like economics as a whole, like entire countries interacting together, whereas microeconomics is like how is your business doing, like your single business. And then you can do like every variant up until they meet in the middle. Like you've got the macroist of the macro, like the entire global economy. And then you have the microist of the micro, your personal banking account or checking account or savings account, or even your personal gas station points rewards. Like who cares? Like any of those are like on a fine grained scale economy of your financial profile. And and we've got credit scores in the states, and I'm sure. Well, see, I don't want to make those assumptions. I don't even know how a lot of this translates over to in other countries. So, but what you need to be concerned about as an American, as a citizen. So, if you wanted to come here, live here, study, is first off, you're not going to get citizenship anytime soon. It takes much longer, and it's ridiculous that that's even a thing. But unless you want to serve in the military, and even then, I don't recommend it because that is why a lot of people are trying to immigrate here to begin with, is because they're trying to escape some kind of violent or dangerous situations. And granted, most of the time, yeah, we're just kind of maintaining a watchful eye on the world and we're expending a lot of resources and people and time. But you see a lot of people dying in like random drills too. So I'm just telling you, like what I know. So if you're planning on joining the military, ugh, we need to disarm the need for the military to begin with. And we can't do that until, Russia gets done with this thing with Ukraine. And then, then we can all talk as adults. So, and, and maybe we need to go back and renegotiate a bunch of like past agreements. Like if Russia did get ripped off, like, okay, maybe we need to and have these fair elections and polls and common things, and then make it provable that they're fair. Because that's the other thing is like we can't keep saying like, oh wait, no, that wasn't fair. Because everybody knows, like as a kid, you learn these things interacting with other people. It's like, wait, no, this isn't fair because, well, no, you can't just keep like 9 times out of 10 or best 2 out of 3 or best 3 out of 5. In fact, I know there's a Nickelodeon or this like Cartoon Network cartoon growing up that I've seen. Oh, we're at like 3 minutes, but anyways, that has basically these very basic concepts. Like we teach kids this stuff. So anyways, that's my point of it. Is like it should be a basic point of understanding, and we translate that to adult behavior, human behavior, what we consider adults, which is like 18, but I don't know, really should be 21 or 25, 25 or 30 for like life or death situations, which I mean, I'm sorry, that's the military. But again, if we trusted, or if we had, I mean, if we had policies in place to where governments didn't feel cheated from our policies in the past, or exploitation like colonization, I'm sorry, that's like, phew. Yeah, the last 2 minutes here, don't you know? Like, the way that both England and America have exploited the world, it shouldn't be punished, but it shouldn't go unnoticed. And like, they're like rich, or what is it? Reparations for, slaves and slave families. That should be like a world thing. Like reparations for shady coups and deals. Like, let's figure out a global government where. Oh, and there's the alarm. Once we just get to a global government where the UN actually means something, and the UN actually controls in a just and fair way, like the entire world. And we all act as like independent states, still sovereign states, like city states. One of my favorite World Warcraft 2, not World of Warcraft, but the Warcraft 2 battle maps was like some continental city states, and it was just a bunch of like islands, and like you would just like attack neighboring islands with gold mines. Anyways, yeah, we got 1 minute left, but um, yeah, and just like how to govern our areas, our religions, our politics, our people, our cultures, our crimes, our which our moral values, our codes, our ethics, and they're all kind of blurring and blending close enough together to where we can at least live in peace until we figure it out. So that's my time. I will see you later, maybe in a few minutes. I don't know. All right, ta ta. See ya.